I'm really excited for this one because I watch a little bit and I know how hard, I don't, like I said, I've done watt bike for a little bit. I know how fucking hard it is to the average man. So what you guys go through is fucking mental. But episode 95, Catflap Chats. I am excited to have today Mr. Luke Rowe from Team Ineos Grenadiers. I was looking earlier, right, through, I'll do like a little bit of blow smoke up your ass first. I was looking through all like your accomplishments and stuff. There's literally fucking thousands. So I'm going to not do that and just go Tour de France, 7 or 8 Tour de France's now, Grand Tours. There's multiple classics. You lead the team out. You've been doing it for 10 years now for Team Sky and then Ineos. Like, absolutely fucking killed it. Welcome. Thank you for coming on. Where are you? Am I right in saying you're in the UCI Championships at the moment? The World?
Yep, correct. I'm, well, thanks for the introduction. I'm not quite sure about the long list of accolades. I think, yeah, I haven't won so much, but yeah, I've been around the block for 10 years and now I'm in Belgium. Got the Road World Championships on Sunday. So it's, and in cycling, you only really get to represent your country at, well, a GB, Olympic or Worlds only once a year or once every 4 years. So it's, yeah, quite a special day Sunday, I guess.
You looking forward to it? What's going on? Are you feeling fresh, feeling fit? Yeah,
fit, fresh. And for those who don't really know so much about cycling, Belgium's kind of like the center of it all. It's the God's country for cycling, really. It's just ingrained in the culture. They love it. And, you know, Sunday they expect, well, there'll be, you know, hundreds of thousands out on the course. It's, it really is massive. And even if you race here and there's a midweek race and you think, well, everyone should be in work and there's, you know, there's still massive crowds. So Sunday is going to be, yeah, pretty special. And we got a young lad, his name's Tom Pidcock. He's our leader. And for the first time in a few years, really, we've got a guy who can potentially win. So yeah, exciting stuff, mate.
Class. And you know, when there's so much crowd on the road, there's been altercations in the past. Like most people, I would imagine, who are casual fans will watch Tour de France. Yeah. And every now and again, you get one bell end who just like sticks his arm out or does something stupid. Like, do you ever actually worry about that when you're in a race?
You know, you're going along on the flat and, you know, you can be doing anywhere on the flat if you're cruising like 40k an hour, or on the flat, you can go, you know, up to 60k an hour. And at that speed, it's all just a blur. And you're hoping, you know, if someone steps out slightly, you're just hoping they get out of the way because you can't react that quick. And the worst is, I tell you what, it's all got worse since selfies existed because people it's got so bad since selfies because people traditionally would have a camera and at least they're looking at the race.
Yeah.
Now selfies, they got their back to the race. They want to get a nice selfie, put it on Instagram or whatever, and they got their back to the race and you're coming behind them. And, but I mean, yeah. And then in the mountains is where, you know, you can be, if it's 10, 15% climb, then you go in a lot slower. So it's safer, but then they can get closer to you.
Yeah.
So it's good and bad. I mean, it's a great thing about the sport is that, you know, you can turn up for free. You stand on the side of the road. It's not like you got to spend 100 quid on a ticket to go to a stadium. So it's a beautiful thing in that sense is that you can go have a family day out, have a picnic, or a bunch of lads go for some beers, stand on the side of the road, watch a race go by. But then, you know, there's like you say, there's always one knobhead who pushed it too far, and there has been crashes and there has been abuse. I've been spat at, punched, you know, called everything under the sun. And
shut up.
Yeah. I mean, it got bad. So, like you say, you mentioned at the start with Team Sky, now Team Ineos Grenadiers. But since 2012, we were like very successful in the Tour de France.
Yeah.
We won it in 2012, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
And the French public really didn't like that. And they, you know, then the accusation started firing. You know, as soon as a team becomes that dominant in the Tour de France, with the history that cycling's unfortunately got with doping, then they really turned nasty on us. And I think in 2015, 16 it was so hostile. Like it was it felt like the world was against us, and it was that in them years it was terrible. In the recent years it hasn't been so bad with, you know, hostility and, well, violence essentially. But yeah, we had a couple of really bad years. Like, you know, cars going up, they knew where hotel we were staying at, and, you know, waking us up in the night, driving past with the horns. And then, like, it actually got to the point where it was, like you say, on the flat is fine because they can't pinpoint you, but on a mountain, when you go in past someone at 10k an hour, they can run the same speed as you and do what they want to do. So that was quite bad. That was, nerve wracking sometimes, actually, because you're, like you say, there's some nutters out there, isn't there? You don't know what someone's going to do. So
exactly,
there's some Fruit Loops out there, and, you know, you're at their mercy, really, aren't you? Piss
like,
thrown at me. That's another one. Piss thrown at me. Mouthful of piss a few times. Golden shower.
That's horrific, though. You know, when you're like 170k into a fucking ride, your legs are about to fall off. You've given everything, and someone chucks a warm pint of piss at you.
Yeah, and it was only bad for a short period of time, and I think that was just a small. You know, in football, for example, I'd say, you know, they get that type of abuse, and you hear some of the chants the crowd do, and it's all a laugh. But when you actually think that person, and sometimes they're singing about their family or something like that,
Yeah,
I think it was just a small insight to how bad it can be in other sports as well. Like football, it can be terrible, can't it, with the abuse and racism and all that stuff. So, and you know, I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but it was quite bad.
in those instances, you know, like, your adrenaline's going. I suppose you're trying to. I don't know this. I've never been a professional athlete, and my experience of cycling, like I said off pod, I did 1,000 miles in Maine. I haven't looked at it again because it disgusts me. But I do. Before that, I loved going up to, like, what bike classes. You know, like, you're not necessarily on the start line, but you're going through. You're trying to maintain a certain. I don't know whether it's heart rate, speed, RPM, what cadence, whatever it is. That surely messes with you a little bit and, like, interferes with your plan and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I try and stay as calm as possible the whole time, and you know, the odd few times I have lost my head like anyone would under circumstances, but I think I try and just try and keep things rational. And essentially, when you're riding the bike, all your energy should go into riding the bike, and the second your mind goes off and you start thinking about something else, start arguing with someone, start thinking about the fan, start reacting with the fan, that's energy wasted. So that is energy that should be spent riding your bike that you're spending arguing with some knobhead on the side of the road. So I think for me, I just try and it's something I've learned with maturity, really. If something happens, I always just go, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then assess it and just try and, like, have that little bit of breathing room. But yeah, I mean, naturally, every now and then it's human to react, but I think like anything, the best thing to do is avoid it. You know, whether it's Saturday night in Chip Alley or, you know, on stage of the Tour de France, it's just try and avoid it at all costs, isn't it?
I love the comparison, as if they could be any further apart. Unreal. Talk me through. I'd love to know. So, were you grew up in Cardiff?
Yeah, born and bred. Yeah.
Whereabouts in Cardiff?
Rabina originally, then and then my parents moved to Lisbon when we were 11 or 12.
Nice, mate. What was your journey then into? I read something about tandems and kind of that's how you got into it. Like, how?
Yeah. So.
Go on.
Yeah, I guess we've just one of them families who've always had a bit of a cycling past. My grandparents cycled. My dad was mad for it, still is. My parents met, both part of cycling clubs. And yeah, when we were kids, we had 2 tandems. I'd jump on the back with my dad. My brother would be with my mum, and that's how it all started. And then, yeah, it was never, ever any intention or the wildest dream to turn professional. I think in most sports, and cycling is one of them, the amount of people who not pumping my tires up here, but it's just the fact that the amount of people who want to do it, and then the few who are lucky enough to. And I consider myself like very fortunate to have made a career and a profession out of it. So it's never with any intention to turn professional, make a career of it, just a way to spend the weekends. And as you grow older, then, you have a bunch of guys, bunch of girls, and you just went away racing. But it was, you get a minivan, all go up together, load of sweets, play some music. And it was just, that's how I spent my weekends as a kid, just going around racing. And it was more about the minivan trip on the way up, spin the bottle and all that than actual racing. It was just good times.
When, as you were getting older, you won quite a bit, and you went through the different teams and stuff, and through, was it Rafa you were with, part of?
Yeah.
What was that like? Was it at that point that you thought it could be a career, like, or was it still a hobby for you, and you didn't get caught up with that sort of stuff?
To be honest, in the back of my mind, it was always something I wanted to do. I just said before, I didn't think it was. I guess what I mean is I never thought it was possible, but it was always a dream. So I always thought, I'd always watched cycling, thought one day I'd love to do that, but it just seemed like so far away. Especially at that time, there was so few British professionals. There was maybe, on the pro tour at the top level of cycling, there was perhaps 2 or 3 in British pros. So to think that I could be one of them just seemed, unrealistic. But now there's perhaps 30 in the top flight. So it seems a lot more achievable for kids now, I guess. But I went to, I guess I got on the British squad when I was 16, 17, but I wasn't a big winner. I wasn't winning every weekend. There was plenty of guys in the country better than me. But I think I outworked a lot of people. I guess that's a common theme with professionals. They kind of, there was more talented people. There's people with more talent out there. 100%. My brother is a more talented bike rider than I was. 100%. But unless you've got that grit and backbone to it, you can have all the talent in the world, but you can piss it away pretty easy as well, can't you? So I think I had quite a lot of graft, and but it was only until I was like 18, 19 where I really thought, right, all my eggs in this basket now. I'm going to really pursue this. If I don't turn pro when I'm 20, 21, then okay, then I'm going to go to uni or get a job or whatever. But it wasn't until I was 20, 21 where I was really thinking, okay, this is me now. This is my heart set on this. I'm going all guns blazing.
Before that, like, what sort of kid were you, like, as like a teen and that? Because we were saying off pod then, loads of my mates professionals, and then, like, I love a good fucking beer. I'm not going to have a beer today, but...
Tiny Rebel.
Mate, they give me beers for every episode, but I'm playing football after this, so I can't scull a beer, like. But when you're back, I'll take you to Tiny Rebel. We'll have a couple of beers.
Sounds good. That's great stuff, Tiny Rebel, mate. I got a few back home.
Yeah, they're good as gold, mate. Every month I just pick up a couple of crates. They're sound.
Oh, happy days, happy days. What kind of kid was that? I was, I guess in school I was pretty average. I didn't apply myself. I just, my head wasn't in it. Didn't really have, my concentration was terrible after 10 minutes of me looking out the window. But I wasn't a naughty kid. I wasn't a little shit. I was no angel at the same time. But I was the type of guy, I guess, in school I'd have a laugh, bend the rules, if a teacher said something, I would never, I had respect for the teachers. I would never swear at a teacher. I wasn't one of them little dickheads, but I had a good time.
You just said then about you lost concentration, right? And then you go to a career where you are sat on a bike for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time, where surely that's the number one thing you need on physical fitness and all that other stuff. But mindset, you need that concentration. So how can a kid who couldn't apply himself is it just because you weren't interested and this you absolutely love?
I think what it is with, okay, so you sit on the bike for 5-6 hours, but not for 1 minute during them 5-6 hours can you relax. If you relax for 10 seconds, you crash. It's literally, it's that intense, really. And I think, you see the helicopter overshot images, you see the motorbike cameras, and they just don't do it justice how close you are to each other. Like my handlebar is touching someone's hip, and someone's on my left, someone's on my right, and it when it gets to the pointy end of a bike race, it's so on the limit. You're riding on, you're doing 60k an hour on 23 millimeter tires, and essentially if you go down, you're wearing Lycra and a polystyrene helmet, it fucking hurts. Like there's no two ways about it. And I think, like I always say, right, the second I start a race, and if I'm speaking to the boys or whatever, I'm like, right, there's 24 hours in a day. We've got to concentrate for 5. When we get in the race, we concentrate, do every little thing right for 5 hours. And for the other 19, you can do what you want, switch off, chill out, whatever. But as soon as you get on the bike, to the finish line, 100% concentration. And it's as simple as, if you're not focused, if you're not in the game, if you're not switched on, you're going to end up on your ass. So I think, whereas if you didn't focus in the classroom, it's just is what it is, isn't it? And I think just that intensity of it, that unless you're in, you've raced at the top level of this sport, you can't really, it's hard to explain. It really is pretty on the limit for most of that time, and you just can't afford to switch off for a second.
It's a sport that's growing though. Like I've got a load of questions that people have asked. One of them's from one of my mates, and I swear, like last lockdown, cycling's like changed his life. Like he's now entered for an Ironman next year, and he started running and swimming, and he was a big rugby player, and he's lost 30 kgs, and he's out on the bike doing the car 10 and all stuff like that now. And I'm like, I enjoy it, but like not to that level where I fancy an Ironman, just because I think the pain I'd have to go through, I'd have to lose about 30k as well. I just don't know if I've got it in me, but it must be addictive, like the feelings and like the drug it almost gives you when you're flying through. Because I can imagine, again, and this is me basing this just sitting on a watt bike, so I'm really sorry, I'm not trying to compare. But even on Zwift, right? So I've got Zwift. And I've got an Icon. Is it the so like as you've got the hills, it gets fucking harder, and you got to lower down the gears and that. It's fucking savage, mate. It is brutal.
It is. It's a tough sport. There's no two ways about it. And I think there's two angles that make it so tough, and I think it's the physical demands of it. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward. Actually, I'd say there's 3 things. The physical demand of it, that's self-explanatory. It's tough. And, you do a Grand Tour, the Tour de France, for example. It's not, right, go balls out and it's over. It's day after day after day. And that level of fatigue, after about a week, you're at that level of fatigue, and you just turn into a zombie. You can never recover. Once you're past it, you can never recover, and you're just at that level. And then I think something that maybe goes under the radar a bit is what goes on off the bike and the diet inside of things. Is just, it's tough to sometimes live a completely normal life, because this sport is power to weight plus aerodynamics. So you can be as strong as you want, but if you're overweight, you're not going to succeed. And I think you push that to limit, and that's a mental drain. Having 2 kids and there's chocolate everywhere, and and you've got to say no, and then you've got your mates saying, "Do you want to come out for some beers?" And it's like, no, and you just get sick and bored of saying no. And then the third thing is what makes it so tough is the risk factor. Like, okay, training on open roads, first of all, I think in the UK it's getting better, but there's still, people get knocked off their bikes, as simple as that. And then so that's the training side of things, and the racing side of things. I've seen some horrific crashes. I raced last week, and there was a guy on an air ambulance. He might be paralyzed. I've seen people die in a bike race. I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's like,
Fuck.
it weighs on you, And as you get older, you see them things happening. You see broken bones, guys just cut to bit. If you can go over 100k an hour on descent, it's like being in the outside lane in the motorway and jumping out your door. It's the same thing. We've got no protection, have we? You're wearing lycra. It's like paper.
So for context, there, 100 kilometers an hour is what, 63 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Hitting the tarmac in, lycra. Like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like when I talk to my mates about it, and they say, you try and put it into simple terms, and I say, well, you're going along the motorway and you jump out your door. You just open the door and jump out. It's just, and you just slide in, and you finally come to a stop, and you're thinking, I hope no one runs into the back of me now. And then more often than not, they all come.
Yeah.
So there's that side of things. I think just that whole mix does make it a tough sport. But, I think at the same time, it's given me so much in my life. I think, I can look at the negatives there, but the positives outweigh 100 times to 1.
What was it? Because you did a lot of track stuff growing up as well, didn't you? Like, what was that like in comparison in terms of, I suppose, safety and the risks, and how hard that was compared to maybe not the grand tours, but definitely, some of the classics and the other races that you do?
I think a few of the track cyclists might disagree with me, but I think it's chalk and cheese. It's a lot easier. So the risk factor is a lot less. If you crash on the track, you slide a lot more rather than on the road. You can hit,
gravel.
Gravel. You can hit bloody signposts, the road furniture. Whereas on the track, it's a lot safer. You get burns, but not so many broken bones. And then I think physically it just takes a lot less time. You have to put a lot less time into it. They train short, intense. So you go to the velodrome and you're up for maybe a 5-minute effort. You come down, you sit down, recover, up again. And maybe your total time on the bike, it's a bit like a gym session, you're doing sets and reps. Yeah. Whereas on the road, it's just 5 hours. But then the only thing with the track, the main thing that cracked me with the track is it's pretty monotonous in that you go to the same environment every day with the same people, do the same efforts. Yeah. And it's just, probably 4 times a week, you just go into the velodrome, doing that, going home. Next day, doing that. Where on the road, it's like, okay, I've got 5 hours. Where am I going? North, east, southwest. Where am I going? Who am I going with? And I think that's, like you said before, how the sport has grown. I think it's just the freedom of it. Like you go for a run, and like a normal person will maybe run like a standard run, like 5K. If you go for a run, no?
Yeah.
And you go round the block, or up that road left. I went across there, or on the bike, you can go so far, and you can. And there's a social side of it. You stop at a coffee and a cake, or a pint if you like, whatever. And there's that social dynamic to cycling where if you go for a run, you can't really talk, can you? Your heart rate's so high.
My daughter's 8, and so she's got like a 6-gear bike with like Shimano or whatever, like a little basket. I've got a fixie in there, and from Cardiff, we went from ours in the Bay when I was living in the Bay at the time, right along the Taff Trail up to Castle Cork. Obviously, nice. Walked the castle bit, but she was 7 at the time. I think it was like 24k. Mate, she absolutely loved it. Like, we stopped, had a picnic, had a bit of like a drink for 10 minutes, snack, back on again, stopped again. Like, she absolutely loves it. And I see it when you go around. I was in Tintern the other day, down in Caldecott or whatever.
Yeah.
About 20 cyclists just there, all having a pint, all the bikes ready to go again. Like, it is really social, isn't it?
It is really social. I think I don't really realise how lucky we are in Cardiff either, because we got, the Taff Trail goes as far as you want to go. And then you got, where I'm from, Lisbon, you're straight in the lanes. They're quiet, it's safe. I think in general, unless you're going through Cardiff and you're riding like a plonker, I think the drivers are pretty respectful. I think we don't realise how lucky we are. We got the main D velodrome in Newport. They got an indoor proper velodrome.
Yeah,
and it's just great. Like by me, there's the Griffin pub, and there's all the mountain bike trails up there. And every time I drive past the pub, there's a couple of blokes outside. They've finished their ride, having a pint, and it's definitely got a massive social side to it, cycling, that probably a lot of people don't realize. There's club dinners, end of year awards, and it's just the amount of people who are getting into it now is, every week I have someone saying, oh, what bike should I get? I'm getting in, and I haven't got a clue what bike to get. I just get given a bike and I ride it. But it's grown exponentially. It's great to see.
That lad I was on about, he's bought a Bianchi. Is it Bianchi or Bianchi?
Yeah.
Like a turquoise one. It looks fucking stunning, to be fair. So he's shelled on that. And like, this is where I didn't realise the link was, but Rowe and King, obviously you've got that company as well.
Yeah.
And I see on Zwift loads of my mates are like R&K Gazelles or whatever. So you probably know some of my mates who are quite keen cyclists and stuff. Like I see it on Zwift, and now since like you coming on here, I've made the connection, and that society is miles bigger than I realised.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's so many different platforms as well. Like Zwift, you said, it's almost like its own little cult of these guys who go out and buy Zwift. But like you're saying, one thing I noticed you said about your mate bought a Banky and shelled out on that. I think that's the biggest potentially off-putter or negative thing of the sport, is that it is bloody expensive.
Yeah,
and
it's not fucking hell.
And it's also, if you say, right, I want to try cycling.
Yeah.
If you say, right, I want to try swimming, I want to try running, I want to try football, you can just go somewhere. Everyone's got a football, you got a pair of trainers, you got some trunks, you just try.
Yeah.
But you say, right, I want to try cycling, I might like it. You got to buy a bike. Realistically, grand. I got to buy a kit, got to buy a helmet, got to buy shoes. You're in $1.5 grand just to get the basics and just to try it. Then if you want to buy a turbo, and before you know it, it has turned into like I don't know, like a bit of a rich man sport. If you want to just try and people, some of the kits you see people using, I'm like, you're seeing guys riding around these lanes on like 10 grand bikes. It's nuts. And I think that's probably the biggest off-putter.
I bought a load of Rafa stuff because it's fucking lovely as well. Like the Rafa stuff's really nice. So I've got like a load of the t-shirts, a couple of jumpers. So I'm one of those people I got into it, and then I'm like, right, I'll buy all the kit. And now I'm like, right, I haven't done it in 4 months. I've put on another stone. Like I need to get back into it. But like I've signed up to do this charity ride next April in Spain, so I will get back into it. Like I said, I've got a watt bike in the garage, so I will get back into it. But like it isn't cheap. I went to Cyclopedia and they were good as gold, but they're like, look, mate, you're a bigger guy. You need some wider wheels. Blah blah. Be about $1 grand to start with. I'm like, I was just thinking like just a 400 quid bike, and if I didn't like it, I could fucking get rid of it or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I know the bike shop you mean. They're good as gold down there. So
they are, brilliant.
Good really boys. Good. But like you say, it's just, it's almost, if you could just try, if someone could just try a bike for a day, and then they can decide if they want to buy one. But there's not a service like that, is there?
Like even like, and again, this is probably like Rafa, I suppose, more than anything, just because it's such a lovely brand. But like bib shorts, 110 quid. I'm just like, I've got a pair, so if I'm doing 1,000 miles, I want to be comfy, because the Amazon 18 quid ones I got just might as well have been sat on tracing paper. So
otherwise you're going to end up with a arse like a Japanese flag, aren't you?
Mate, and because I'm so heavy and I've got the racing seat, I had to buy a seat cover as well. Like, it was fucking hard work, mate. Like 52k a day. Like for me, 52k a day was like, I would double the time. So 100 minutes, for example, I do that in. Like, I'm not particularly fast, 30 odd K an hour or whatever. It's fucking hard work, mate. Every day, mentally draining, physically. My hip flexors, mate. I had to tell my missus to leave me alone for a month. Like, don't touch me. Don't come near me, because I haven't got it in me to...
I'm not good to go.
No, I'm not. Like, it took me a while to really fucking... my legs, but I almost enjoyed it as well. And like, I was doing it on Zwift with other people, and I could see how people buy into that community. And like, like CrossFit's become a bit of a cult.
Yeah.
I can see how people buy into that for cycling, because it is actually for all shapes, all sizes. The amount of men I see riding, I live in Heath now, so the amount of men I see riding like up and down Allen's Bank Road, and they got drums bigger than me.
Yeah.
But they're just socially, they're just fucking loving life.
I think even now, even after 10 years pro and pretty much my whole life riding a bike, still now when you're coming off the bike, you get that rush of endorphins and you go through the door and you feel good about yourself. And I think exercise in general gives you that, doesn't it? But I find it more so on the bike. Okay, it might sound silly, I'm a professional cyclist, is what I do, but you walk through the door and you feel good about yourself. And for the rest of the day, you're upbeat. And you see, I don't know, I think exercise in general just does so much for you. And cycling, and I think cycling is probably up there with the best, because you go out there, you're in the lanes, if you pick a nice route in the lanes, fresh air, clear your head, go out for an hour, come back, and you just feel good. And it's like the guys you were saying about just riding down Allen's Bank Road. It's just that. And for me, it's always that, like when I was 10, 12, that was the best thing about it, is the freedom. Like if I wanted to do something at that age, can you go out without your parents? Yes, no. But if I went out on my bike and I was with, a few guys same age, we were allowed to go out, just us without the parents. And it gave me that freedom from a young age to go out, and we didn't know where we were going. We'd get lost. You'd follow the signs back to Cardiff. And I think that's the best thing about the sport, is just the freedom it gives you.
Yeah, it's class. I'd love to just chat about you signing for what was Team Sky at the time, and then I think it might have been a year, did the Tour of Britain, you had your first stage win, and then a year later, I think it was your first Grand Tour debut. Like, what was that like for you as a youngster, looking up to all these professional names? Because it wouldn't have been that long after, obviously, all the scandals and everything in cycling, and it wasn't necessarily looked upon favourably, but as a young kid, it's something that he's done all his life. Like, what was that like, and what emotion? And are you one of those people that just takes it in your stride and like, yeah, wicked, what's the next job? Or do you let yourself get carried away with it a little bit?
For me, it was, like you're saying, 2011, I got the call saying I got offered a contract. But it was actually 2010. So going into the 2011 year, I got offered a contract from another team. And that was, and actually, so it's something you aspire to your whole life, right? I want to turn professional, I want to sign a contract. And the back end of 2010, I had a call saying off another team, saying we want to sign you. So I said, okay, right, I got to do this. It's not. I wanted to join Sky, British team. It was the team you wanted to go to, but they didn't offer me a contract. This other team did. I said, well, I got to sign. I got to turn pro. It's what I've always wanted to do, and now it's there in front of me. And I spoke to a few people, and actually, in the end, it was my decision. I said, right, I don't feel I'm quite ready. I'm a good amateur, but if you look at the good amateurs when they turn pro, they don't make it. You have to be a brilliant amateur to even have a chance of making it as professional. So I actually made the decision to turn the offer down. But then I'm thinking, fuck, right, now I've turned that down. I'm going to stay amateur for another year. I better pull it off now. And lo and behold, like a bit halfway through the year 2011, then it was actually Shane Sutton who called me, and it was you expect like, big thing, like, oh yeah, we're going to offer you a contract. And Shane Sutton was he's an Australian bloke, and he's just a proper straight talking, hard nosed, no bullshit. And he goes, Luke, how's it going? Yeah, good Shane. How are you? Listen, you got a contract. Good job. So, thanks, mate. Thanks. Listen, I gotta go. I'll catch up with you later. Okay, cheers, Shane. Bye. And that was it. It wasn't even. And I thinking back, I didn't have an agent at the time.
Yeah.
And I just said, yeah, okay, no worries. I didn't even discuss a figure. I just said yes. And I think it's that signed for minimum wage at the time. But I walked in the office, signed the contract, left the office. And I speak to my parents later, and they said, "Oh, how did it go?" Yeah, and they didn't really have a clue. So what will your salary be? I said, you know what? I don't actually know. I've just signed the contract. I've got no clue. I was that excited to sign the contract.
Yeah.
Good as anything. So sign the contract, and I met Dave, Brailsford, and Fran. Then I knew them both already through the GB days before that.
Yeah.
But that was for me. That was it's massive. It's what I wanted to do my whole life, and the fact that a British team had started in 2010, and as soon as that started, I thought that's where I want to be. A British team. I had some mates there. Mark Cavendish joined the same year as I did. You had Bradley Wiggins, Chris Froome, Geraint Thomas, all these guys, and it's quite funny. I'm in the Worlds now, like we spoke about, and I'm rooming with Cav now. And 10 years ago, when I signed my first pro contract, he joined the team that same year.
Yeah.
And on the first training camp I went to in 2011, I was his roommate. So it's kind of funny talking about it now, and I'm back in the room with him now.
Little anniversary, like the thing is with Team Sky and then obviously into Ineos, like the success has been unrivaled. Like I didn't know much about, as I would imagine, lots of casual fans didn't know much about cycling probably before Lance Armstrong. But since then, you keep it because there was a British team and there's a far much wider range of British riders riding at that elite level. And you know all the names, like you said, Froome, Wiggins, Cavendish, Geraint Thomas, yourself. There's a couple of others. Like the success they've had has been unrivaled. And like your part in that, like again, casuals are like, well, he didn't win, he hasn't won a stage, or he only won one stage and he hasn't he hasn't won the Tour de France or a Grand Tour or anything. But then I've been reading a bit more, and like your role in this, in lots of these victories, has been as important as the lead rider at times. Talk me through that and how the team sort of gels when you're not their main man, but you've got to support the main man. So you've got to bust the gut for someone else to get all the glory. Does that make sense?
100%. And it's a great question. I think from the outside, it's a strange, unless you're really into it, it's quite hard to get your head around, because one guy wins the race, one guy gets the glory, he's the winner. Yeah, it's a team event. And that guy couldn't do it without the team. 100% couldn't do it without the team. So you have normally different category of races start with different amount of guys, but normally it's either a 7-man team or an 8-man team. So for a Grand Tour, it'll be 8-man. And essentially it'll be one guy and there's other 7 there. It's their job just to look after that one guy. And when you say look after, it's getting food, drinks, but the biggest thing is sheltering from the wind. If you're on the wheel, tucked in behind someone, the difference is massive. So it's mainly taking the wind for them. And I think for me, when I say when I first turned pro, and it's what did I want to do in my career? Naturally, you're like, I want to win. I want to be one of these guys. I want to stand on the top step, and you want to take the glory. So I set off on my pro career. And it just became apparent I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to win races, but I was not far off. I'd get top 10s, I'd get the odd top 5. I won a race in my first year pro. But after a couple of years, it became apparent I wasn't going to be, maybe I'd sneak the odd win if I went for myself every time. And then it came to a bit of a crossroad. I said, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to make a long and hopefully successful career out of this? And it was, the cycling word for a helper is domestique. It's a French word, and it means helper. So essentially the world of cycling is made up of 80% domestiques and 20% do the winning and 80% help. And I thought, right, if I'm going to be a domestique, a helper, then I want to be the best domestique. That's what I want to aim for. It's not just to be. I want to be a guy who, if a leader is saying, okay, who do you want to take to the team? I want them to say, okay, I need Luke there. I need Luke there as one of my helpers. That was my goal, is to be, okay, I couldn't be the best in the world at winning races, so I want to be the best at something else. And that was a domestique, a helper. And I think, I've become a guy who I'd like to think others can rely on whatever the situation. And if under any circumstance I can go to a race and and be a value to a leader. And you know, I'm never gonna go to the Tour de France and win, but I did the next best thing as a domestique is to go and be part of that winning team and support the guy who won. And you know, I've been there with Froome, Egan Bernal. I was there when Geraint won, and like they're the boys. I'm not like they're there and I'm down here, and I know that's the way it is. But just to be a small part of that victory, you know, they won the Tour de France. I rode the Tour de France and contributed what I could, which is relatively small. Like they won the race. They're the champions. But I did as much as I could as a domestique, I feel, to give everything I could to the team. And it's but then it's a strange thing at the same time. You get to Paris and if they win the race, they go to the podium and the other 7 go back to the bus. You know, that they win the race, even though it's a team sport. So from the outside, it's trying to explain it is, well, is it a team sport or isn't it a team sport? But it's a massive team sport, but one person gets the glory. But that's, for me, that's, you know, I don't give a shit about going to a podium in Paris. I'm not saying that. It's I get enough satisfaction. You know, if I go back on the bus and I see the TV and they're on the top step, for me, that's everything. I'm proud to have played a small puzzle, you know.
There must be, over the years, there must have been people who do struggle with that though, because whether it's an ego thing or pride or you know, when you've, again, I don't know the ins and outs, but when you've got so many dominant riders and different riders who have won the Tour de France now, or the other 2 Grand Tours in Italy or Spain, there must be some sort of friction now and again, not necessarily clashes and infighting, but you, like, if you've got 2 or 3 riders, like, how does that get sorted out on who, you know, if you've got Froome, Thomas, Egan, you just mentioned there, how does the team decide who's going for what, when?
Yeah, I mean, 100% there's, in sport, there's egos, different people, different nationalities. It's never, ever going to be plain sailing. There's going to be clashes. There's going to be arguments in every single team throughout every year. I mean, it's natural. And people, you know, if you have multiple leaders within a team and three of them put their hand up for one race, essentially that the buck falls to senior management and Dave Brailsford and these guys to say what's going to happen. I mean, that's not, as riders, I know exactly where I stand. I'm just an employee of a company. What they do, I say, you know, it's for me, it's as clear cut as that. I never get on my high. Well, I tried to think I never get on my high horse. I'm employed to do a job and I'll do it. And that's the same for everyone. But at the same time, like you say, guys can have the same goals and ambitions and it doesn't work. And that's where I believe in Dave Brailsford. I think we've got the best in the business. He is man management and how he can take a step back and just see the whole picture. He really is the best in the business. And I think that's where that stuff like that falls on him. And, you know, you can go to a race with one leader, it's easy because it's 7 guys working for one. You can go with 6 guys working for 2. It's tricky, but it's possible. But I think like 5 domestiques going for 3 leaders, it gets tricky. I mean, they often take the approach of 2 leaders because if one has a bad day or if one crashes out, you got your backup, you know. But essentially that falls down to the boss.
There has been a couple of 1-2s, wasn't there? Was it Wiggins and Froome or Froome and Wiggins or something? I think there was a 1-2.
Wiggins and Froome. Wiggins won in 12, Froome was second. And then they also did it in 2019. Egan won and G was second. The year after G won, he was second. Which not many people know. They all know he just won the Tour de France, don't they? But he was also second the next year. Yeah,
that's interesting. I'd love we don't get insight into that team dynamic, and it'd be amazing to see that, where you've got so many, and when I say elite level, I'm talking like you guys are top 1%ers battling it out for that podium, that space. Like, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I think we often do so the Tour de France is in July, and there's obviously a lot of lead up races to that. The Dauphiné is a race that's held in France 2 weeks prior to the Tour de France, and that's a big indicator of, because essentially guys can put their hands up and say I want to be leader, but it comes down to performances, and we're mostly measured by power. So you have your power cranks, power meters, so the numbers don't really lie, so you can be measured quite easily on that as well. And there's a lot of, we have people in the team who will crunch the numbers, and they'll tell you if you can go to the Tour de France and be competitive. So it's a certain level of responsibility is on the riders to make sure they have the form and the condition to deliver as well. And if not, they'll get felt out in, they won't have the numbers, or they'll get felt out in races prior to the Tour, like Dauphiné, like I said about. But even still, I think even if you go to the Tour de France with multiple guys, it's that intense that the cream will just rise to the top, and naturally the best will win. It just gets tricky when, I don't know if I'm getting too into it now, it just gets tricky when if you have multiple leaders on the flatter days. You have the biggest thing on a flat day for a leader is just not to crash. It's you see these videos of mass pileups, and after a week in the Tour de France, there's 10 or 20 guys at home, and it's pretty much through crashes. The first week of the Tour de France is always marred by crashes, and so on a flatter day, it's hard to look after multiple riders. Keep multiple guys towards the front. That's where it gets hard with having multiple leaders. In the mountains, it's a bit straightforward because you go up a 10K climb. If you're strong, you go. If you're weak, you get dropped. And it's quite simple on a mountain stage, but on a flatter day, gets a bit more complex with multiple leaders.
Fucking athletes, fair play to you. I just want to not bring the tone down, but obviously like this year didn't finish the Tour de France, and I know you've had a disqualification before. Not so much like what happened, and I read about what happened obviously when, was it Geraint dislocated his shoulder and there was an altercation and you weren't particularly happy about it, and then this year there was I think you said you just run out of gas, just hit the wall and you were just done, right? How, rather than going over that, I'm more interested in how do you pick yourself up and go again a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, and not let that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I can touch on it briefly. This year I'm stage 11. I was out the time limit on the stage, and I think essentially the reason I've just got myself to blame, but it's I had COVID in December, January,
and
I got it bad. To the point where, like, walking up the stairs, I get to the top of the stairs and I'd be out of breath, like quite bad. I'd have to stop, collect myself, and go. And it was nasty. And I think after that, okay, so right, I'm thinking to myself, right, I'm over COVID now. Bam, let's start training. And right, what's the first race I can do? I'm ready to race. I'm ready to go. Bam, went to that race, and I tried to do too much too quick. And you race, train, and you try and do kind of all that winter, which is like the foundation, like the base work. Like you build a house, you put the foundations, and then you build the layers. I just jumped straight to the roof. You know what I mean? I didn't have that backbone. I didn't have them thousands of miles that you do in the winter just to make you robust. And throughout the course of the season, I just got sick quite a lot. And I was having a week off, and I've missed a week. I've got to catch up. Rather than going, if I rewind to January, I go, you know what? I'm on the back foot. Rather than racing at the start of Feb or middle of Feb, I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm going to race the end of March, and I'm going to do my winter. I'm going to do my winter work now. I'm going to accept I lost. So I just wasn't good enough. I wasn't fit enough, and through lack of training, I got to the Tour, and I was like, I was not at the level that I needed to be. And
I suppose, am I right in saying there, like most races might be, 3 days, 4 days, a week, whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Tour is 3 weeks.
Correct. Yeah.
And so if you've done loads of week races, I suppose it's not in the bank to then follow that up again and again to finish a Tour. Would that be right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's just missed that depth, and that you I missed a few race days. I missed a lot of training days, and it's just money in the bank. And every time you ride your bike, it's miles in the bank. Every time you race, it's a race day in the bank, and it's just building this depth and this form, this deep conditioning that I just didn't have. I didn't have the backbone. And then moving on to what you said, like how do you build yourself back up? And I reckon a few years ago, like I'll tell you now, when I got kicked out of the Tour in 2019, at stage 15 or 16, got kicked out the Tour, disqualified, and I was distraught. I went home and I cried. I was really cut up. That to me, that was, I shouldn't have been disqualified anyway. It was pretty hard to take, but that was really hard. And I think, you feel like I let my family down. The worst thing was my teammates. I thought, right, they were second and third or second and fourth when I left. So they didn't have the yellow jersey, and they were trying to crack this guy who was leading the race. Every day they were trying to crack him, and he finally blew up on the 19th stage, and they got 1-2. And I remember leaving, and I thought, fuck, these boys got to get the job done now. They got 5 days to crack this guy, and hopefully win the Tour de France. And I think that was the hardest thing, is leaving the teammates behind and the staff and that bubble, all them boys who you've done your training camps with, you've done the Dauphiné, Tour de Suisse, it's not just 3 weeks, it's this months before where you're with the same guys, and you're building, you're winning the races, you're losing the races, you're battling on, and you're on this big journey. People only see the 3 weeks, but it's months prior, or even the whole season. You know roughly the Tour team, and you're working towards this goal, and then to leave them, that was tough. But then when I left in 19, I don't know why, I just accepted it more. But I think because I could look at myself in the mirror and say there's nothing else I could have done. Like that day, there was, I don't know the figure, but I think that day it was brutal. We went up Mont Ventoux, which is one of the famous climbs. I think the second, we took a slightly different approach. Second time, we did 2 laps of it. First time was 15K up it. Second time was 23K long climb. And I think like 15 guys left the race that day. And of the 15, 14 just stopped the race, got off the bike and stopped. And then I didn't stop riding. I got to the finish line, and I thought, I either get to the finish line and I'm out the time limit, or I get to the finish line and I'm within the time limit. But either way, I'm going to ride to the finish. I'm not getting off. Yeah. So I did everything I could. And I think the cutoff was 51 minutes, and I arrived at 53 minutes. Yeah. So I missed it by 2 minutes. So I got to the finish line, and I was like, I was gutted, slumped over my bars. I was absolutely battered. And I thought, when I went home, I just thought, let's just think about this realistically. There's nothing more I could have done. I missed all that work. Yeah. I was on the back foot. On the day, if I'd have climbed off, I think I would have regretted it. But I carried on riding, and like I said, from the 15, I could have stopped at any moment, got in the car and gone home. But I rode to the line, and I think it is what it is, isn't it? I'd have loved to have carried on and finished, but sports stuff at times.
You'd regret it more if you'd quit.
100%, yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I appreciate we've been an hour already. I've got so much. I'm fascinated. Like, I can't wait to hopefully one day, mate, you come back on, because I've got loads more I want to talk about. Like, I'd love to know about what a week is actually like, a race week or a Tour de France is actually like to live as a person away from the cycling day to day. I'd love to know what you get up to away from racing and training, and what the Tour is like, the fun side of it and all that stuff, and social media and your relationship and trolls and all this other stuff. But I appreciate that, you haven't got all the time in the world either, but I have got
we can do another couple if you want.
I've got 15 minutes I've got, and then I've got to shoot myself, right? Do you want to whistle stop? Do you want to whistle? Let me ask you some questions that people have asked me to ask you first, right?
Okay, quick fire.
Yeah, go on. So you've mentioned this a bit, or you've mentioned this one race. This is from my friend Alex. He was like, how do riders and teams feel knowing that they're not the main rider, but they still bust the bollock in events to make the lead rider the main man. So on, you've gone through that. And again, I think I saw on social media when you left the tour this year, the messages from the other riders were like, we're genuinely gutted you going, like, we need you for this. So I think you've established yourself as that. I don't know what I wrote down, the lead out man. Is that it? Like, the road captain or whatever.
Road captain, yeah. So it's essentially a glorified title. Like, in football or rugby, if you're captain, it's an honour.
Yeah.
But like a road captain is something where essentially you got the 8 guys on the road, and you're the middleman. Shit, my earpod fell out. You're the middleman between them 8 guys. So someone who can communicate with them 8 guys and the directors in the car behind, and just try and get the most out of the 8 guys each and every day. And I guess the kind of just the middle guy.
You're like the primary school milk monitor.
The guy with all the Pokemon cards in school.
Oh, mate, but if he'd have kept them, he'd be a fucking millionaire now.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. Selling big bucks, aren't they? That golden 100%. Pikachu.
Yeah, definitely. What's the toughest tour for you? I noticed you haven't done many, if any, Giro d'Italia, or however you would say it.
No, I've always focused on the tour. I've done 7 Tour de France's, 2 Vueltas, but never the Giro. Because the Giro falls before the tour, so they always save me for the tour. But the hardest tour was 100% 2016, which on stage 1 was a prologue, just a short time trial, and stage 2 was a road stage. And after 50, 60k, I crashed, slid out on a right-hand bend, and I broke 3 ribs, and that was stage 2. And I finished the tour, but for me that was, and I didn't tell anyone that I'd injured myself, because it turns up into a big sympathy thing, big sob story. So I just thought, right, get on with it. And that for me, it was like having a rev limiter on a car. Like, I could push myself, but as soon as you started going full gas,
I can feel it now.
And that, it was like a rev limiter. I was like, right, I have to slow down. I can't breathe that hard, and that was for sure the hardest tour, just because carrying that injury.
What about in terms of circuits itself? Like you said about, is it Vuelta and then obviously the Tour de France? Like, which one, like, are the hilly ones the hardest, or the ones where there's just extended flats?
In general, flats are easier. Like that sounds obvious, but if you get wind on a flat day, and if you get headwind, it's quite easy. If you get tailwind, it's quite easy. If you get crosswind from the side, that's where you form echelons, and they're the most intense days, and they're the most nerve-wracking days, and they're the days where it can go really, really wrong or really, really right. So on the flats, if there's no wind, they're pretty straightforward, apart from like the final 20, 30k if it's a bit bunch sprint. And the mountains is more just less stress and just more physical, more man-o-man.
Just fucking dig in.
Just bite the bullet.
Oh, nasty. Last question he had. So do you see, is it Roglic, Van Aert and Pogacar?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Do you see them as riders? Do you see them as riders who can kick the sport on now to another level as the best 3 riders at the moment?
I think undoubtedly they're the best 3 riders currently. And I think they're going to be, like I said, we've dominated. That sounds big-headed, but that's the fact. We've dominated the Tour de France. If you look at the past 10 years, say, we have been a dominant team. And the last 2 years, this guy Pogacar's won both years, and he's better than anyone we've currently got. And Roglic, similar, really. So we're in a bit of a situation now where we've always had the best guy, mainly in Froome over the course of the 10 years, and now it's changing of the guard, and these guys have come in, and facts, they're a step ahead of us at the moment. So we've got to kind of, backs against the wall, roll our sleeves up and try and take them on now. But certainly I think the 3 guys he named are the 3 superstars of the sport at the moment.
I counted 12 Grand Tours wins and a couple of seconds in the 10 years. So that is like across obviously Italy, Spain and France as well. That's unbelievable. Couple of quick fire ones here. what some good power insights for 5 minutes, 20 minutes, etc. for people to look at? So like say like an FTP test for 20 minutes, what sort of wattage are you putting out, and then what sort of wattage should the average person be trying to like sort of aim for or whatever?
So my numbers aren't incredible, if I'm honest, compared to some of the guys. Say like an FTP for someone who's into the numbers around like 420 watts for 5 minutes, a little over 500 watts.
Yeah.
And to pick a number for an average bloke or woman is tough, because it's all about weight. Like I could put out 420 watts and I'm 74 kilos, but if I put out 420 watts and I was 64 kilos, I'd win the Tour de France. If I put out 420 watts and I was 84 kilos, I wouldn't be professional. So it's purely it's all dependent on weight.
I'm about 128 kilos, mate, and I'm pushing out like 220 on an FTP.
There you go.
And I am blowing out my hoop.
Horses for courses.
How do you like your new Pinarello?
Weapon, game changer, very, very good. We're sponsored by them, so people think I have to say that, but genuinely, it's an absolute weapon.
Class. Are you riding Paris to Rowe? Is that how you say it?
Paris-Roubaix, yeah, I am. That's a week Sunday. So what, the World's Sunday and Paris-Roubaix a week Sunday, and that's one for you to watch, mate. If you haven't watched many races, and if you said to me throughout the course of a 12-month season, what race should I watch? I'd say Paris-Roubaix. It's called the Hell of the North, nicknamed Hell of the North, and it covers it's 260k, and it covers 50 kilometers of pavé cobbles, and it's absolutely brutal. So check it out, and I'm racing it. Yeah,
I love it. Well, the next question they asked was, "What was your favorite race?" Is that it?
Love-hate relationship with it. I've been at the pointy end a few times. I've got a top 10, I got top 15, got a top 20. I've also crashed out of it twice, ended it twice in an ambulance. So got a love-hate relationship with it. But it's a special day. I love it.
Class. I got one here. I didn't know if I was going to ask you, but I'm going to ask it and you can answer it however you want. Is G overrated, or is he just misunderstood? I don't really know what he means by that, because...
Is G overrated? No. I mean, you're talking about... he's achieved so much in the sport. I think the guy's won the Tour de France. He's finished second in the Tour de France. He 2 times Olympic gold medalist. But I think in the past 2 years, he's just had some nasty bumps. He's had a lot of bad luck, and he crashes a lot. And I always take the piss out of him, but deep down, I think he has just had some bad luck. He's had a bad run at it, and hopefully next year he can turn it around a little bit. But overrated, definitely not. Class,
love that. Last one. Riders used to pick, and again, I'm taking this person's question as
far away, mate. Don't worry.
Riders used to peak once, maybe twice a season, target specific races. Now they seem to be maintaining that winning form all year round. And what's enabled that? Is it just kind of one thing? Is there multiple factors? Why are people doing much better all year round?
I think just the pure professionalism of the sport. It's just, I'd say in the past 5 years, it's just gone to another level. I kind of caught, I think in most sports, I kind of caught the back end of like the more fun era. We used to like finish a race.
Yeah.
And even if you could get a flight Sunday night, you'd fly home Monday because you'd go for dinner or you'd go for a few drinks or go out for a night on the piss. And that was kind of, not for every race, but it was, you do it now and then. And as the years have developed, the sport's just got so much more professional. And I caught the back end of the fun era. And now it's going this, and it's the same with most sport. Look at like rugby. It was like you finish a game, you go on the piss, and that's the way it was. And I think cycling's just gone like spiraled out of control the last 5-7 years. It just got so professional. So speaking about how guys can hold their form, they're not doing these big peaks and troughs. Everything's like the numbers, the training, the diet, people are weighing their food. It's just got so specific that people can really like just manage the load of a season so well, and there's so much goes into it. You got people just sat on laptops looking at numbers all day, and they're like calculating, and it's possible. Like if you can, it's more mental. The reason people didn't used to do it is because it's mental to stay on that top of your game. Like our season's 11 months long, no, 10 months long. You start in January.
Fucking long.
It's fucking long. And then, okay, it's 10 months, so you say 2 months off. No, you have
it's not.
You have 3-4 weeks off, and you start pre-season. So I think it's more mental if you can keep your head on, which I struggle with, to be honest, to stay focused on 100% of your game for 10 months. I can't do it, but some guys can.
And also, I bet, right, I'm hypothesizing here, but I bet social media's part to play with that as well, in terms of players can't be seen out on the piss either, even if they want.
Hang on, I got to show you how my roommate's just walked in. That's my roommate.
Looking absolutely fantastic. Has he just come from the YMCA?
He's just come for massage, come back in a hat. Where'd you get that from?
Bob the Builder.
Yeah.
Young man. There's no need to get down.
Sorry, where were we?
Oh, no. I was saying, I reckon part of that might be social media as well, that players, cyclists, athletes can't be seen to be, because 1, it'll be all over the press. 2, it'll be all over social media. 3, they just can't be asked for the fucking hassle.
Yeah. I think social media is just a nightmare in it. Like if I could stop it all tomorrow, I would. But it's like you've almost got to have it now. It's like a platform you've got to have, and I think people, you know, if you want to get a sponsor or something, the first thing they do is look. One of the first things they do is look at followers and all this bullshit. And I think it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So I think, and people are like, it just gives people who aren't worthy of an opinions a lot of the time.
Oh,
like you speak about trolls and
so many fucking weapons on there. Hey, look, pal, I'm gutted I've got to go. I'd love to have you on again one day, like in a couple of years' time, or if we're still doing this, whatever. Definitely want to go for a beer with you. So when you're back,
Tiny Rebel,
then I'll take you to Tiny Rebel, mate.
Beers on you.
100% easy.
On the house.
I get them
on the house.
I get them free, so I'm happy with that. It doesn't bother me. I'll pay you for it, right? But I'd love to add something to the wall. If you've got an old jersey or something, you can get it signed.
Well, I'm here at the Worlds now. I'll get a jersey signed by the squad here then.
I'll pay for the postage or whatever and the shirt and stuff. And we'll get that sorted. But
I'll sort you out. It's all right.
I fucking love that, mate. I can sit and chat for hours, like, and it's not just fucking standard media answers, which I've loved. So thank you so much.
We can go a bit more rogue when we sit down a few beers.
I'm all in for it. Hey, good luck this Sunday.
Lovely job.
This will be out Monday, so I'll tag you in it. But good luck. I'll have a watch, and I'll obviously watch the Hell of the North week after as well. All right.
Lovely job. All right. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Luke, you fucking star. Cheers, boy.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Ta-ra, mate.
Take care. Bye, mate.